LCF Group here with another buyer's tip for you. Thank you for watching our videos. In our last buyer's tip, we asked you to prepare a list of questions that when you go to visit properties that you could go over with the owner or representative as you go over the property in great detail. You might have some curious questions in addition to some of the following. How long have you owned the property? Someone who owned the parcel only a short time may not really know its long history, so they may not even be familiar with the whole acreage. So ask who a previous owner might be in this case. Why are you selling the property? Listen as the current owner discloses his plans. What do you see as the best features of this property? A lot of times an owner can tell you a lot, good and bad, about the property, which you may not just discover on your own. Do you own the access to your property? Sometimes accesses are easy if they have road frontage, or maybe there's a shared access, but you want to make sure that you do have a legal and deeded access to your property or right-of-way. How soon can you sell the property? Ensure that the time frame for the person selling the property coincides with your own time frame in buying it. A property that is in an estate or probate may equal more time than you can afford to wait. Are you able to sign the deed over, or are there other parties involved? You want to ask the owner to make sure that it's not a problem to coordinate multiple sellers or know about an estate situation or some other potential delay right away. A situation where there might be several heirs or multiple sellers, some of them may not be able to be easily reached for signature, or there may be some potential legal issues that may equal more time in your buying it. In what manner are you selling the property? Do you hope for cash now, or are you willing to finance? What deposit would you require, and over how many months or how many years would you accept payment? Some owners can be more flexible than you might think, and they might appreciate a different way of selling the property. Maybe cash in 30 days is what they expect. Anyway, you'll want to know these things up front. What is included in the purchase price I have been quoted? What real and personal property will stay and convey with the property, and what will go? Do not assume that everything you are looking at will be included in the transaction. Will you tell me about your neighbors? Try to determine the relationship between this owner and his neighbors. Do some looking around to see that you are comfortable with the proximity of the neighbors and the surroundings, that they're agreeable to you. Ask if there has been any line or boundary disputes and how that situation would have been resolved. Try to find out what emergency services, including medical, are nearby and how close are they. For some people, that's very important, and they want to know that they have medical and doctor and other kinds of facilities around the place where they plan to live. What restrictions and easements are associated with this property? Once again, there may be some covenants that will not allow you to build a certain type of home or raise certain animals, to have multiple dwellings, etc. You will want to know about these. There are certain types of easements on most properties, like power and road easements. Inquire about other cemetery easements or rights of others to use the property. Ask if a copy of the document is available. More than one dwelling might be able to be constructed. Just check the county ordinances. Have you given any verbal permissions for others to use the property? If the answer is yes, find out if those rights are easy to dismiss when transferring ownership. Power. Glance around to see if there's power, telephone lines, and other utilities readily available. If nothing is apparent, ask about nearest poles, or be sure that there are existing power easements. Since some landowners will not give the power company the right to cross their property, it's not always easy to obtain a new easement. What testing has been done on the property? Inquire about percolation for well and septic, soil, termite, water testing for bacteria, etc. What was determined by the tests? Be sure the property perks if no well or septic exists, or check and see if there is no access to public utilities. What is the zoning for this particular area? The answer will affect your possible use of the property and the value to some extent. You may check later at the county planning office to understand what potential development you might do here. Has this area been subject to flooding at any time? What amounts have you paid in annual taxes and insurance premiums for the property? What changes have you seen in the area over the past years? You'll want to know what the history of growth is and whether the economy is stable or depressed. And then ask the owner what changes you might expect in the area over the next years. Are there any expectations of development? Is there an event on the horizon that would affect the area that you're considering living in? As you can imagine, the owner may not be able to answer every question that you ask them during your meeting. So allow them some time to do some research or get the answer to your question, and then follow up at an agreeable time.